We're rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed!
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool, frosty beer while we're doing it. I'm your host, Marcus Ellinger, and with me as always,
Jeremiah Johnson.
All right, Jeremiah, this is it's like episode 87.5? Ish, something like that.
Yeah, something.
We had officially our first lost episode.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's actually okay, I think, because we didn't really have anything good to say on it.
Bad news. All bad news.
Yes, and we'll recap that. And then
Great
we have,
guess, but all
yes. That's the worst part about it, is that we lost out on our guests. A couple of ladies.
Well, we didn't.
Yes, we were there. We experienced it. But we'll kind of go over that show real quick, and then we get to review our Nerdplay.
Yep.
And our anime this month. Maybe a couple other nerd things if we got time. But first, before I talk any more, because I'm salivating, my favorite part of the show.
The beer. So we brought it down a couple notches today. Obviously, I picked the beer.
Yeah.
It is the Seafair Summer Ale from Pike Brewing Company. It's 4.2%, obviously brewed for Seattle Seafair. And,
I assumed as much.
It's all everything summer. It says citrusy, fresh, light.
It looks like summertime.
It looks really well carbonated. The color is a nice pale straw color. I like it a lot. Nice and clear. God, that looks carbonated as heck.
It's kind of got a yeasty smell.
A little bit. A faint smell of bananas.
Yep. And it does have that citrusy, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely has a citrusy.
It smells like it's going to be crisp and fresh.
Yes, well.
My belly is going to soak this up like it hasn't eaten all day.
that granola bar is going to be working overtime?
Yes.
So to all the nerds?
Through all the fuzz.
Bottoms up.
Let's get Nerdbuzzed. Blink.
Did you notice we're drinking it out of our glasses that we won at trivia?
We did, and we kicked butt at trivia.
Yeah.
We
8 points.
We came in first in trivia, which is awesome. And then, so at trivia, there's usually a brewer's night.
Yeah, a
raffle.
A host brewery, and they do some raffle off T-shirts and stuff.
And we hardly ever win that, right? We don't infrequently win trivia, but we're not like the typical winner.
No, I think I've been doing this for 2 years, and I've missed a few of them here and there. But I've been there for first place twice.
Yeah.
Second place once, and several third places.
Yeah. We're like, okay, we're a contender, but we're not like the big wig of it. But we won, which is awesome. And we won. Every single person at our table won a raffle.
Yep.
6 of us. That's insane. And so one of them was a glass. So we're drinking out of our fishtail glasses, even though it's Pike Brewing.
It's Pike Brewing.
Yeah. But brewers love each other. We all get along, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do they put it? As rising tide, or rising tides raise all ships. So
yeah, right.
There we go.
We're raising ships. So anyway, those are our glasses.
Yes.
So first up, let's just kind of recap the lost episode real quick.
Are we gonna talk about the beer how I tasted it all?
If you want, we can, because it wasn't very good. It was
this
okay.
one?
Oh, this one. Yes. Sorry,
I'm
speeding through it. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. Let me slow down a little bit. I'm too excited.
So yes, it is very carbonated.
It is very carbonated.
It is actually more malty than I expected it to be too.
Really?
Yeah.
It has. It's definitely yeastier. It has that smell. The reason why I say that is because when I think of that, since we've done this, I've been trying to like identify the different parts of the beer, right, and the flavors. And when I think of a beer that has a little more of that yeast flavor to it, I think of like a lager, or like a pilsner, or a lighter beer. Am I inaccurate?
Not really. I mean,
like even like a cheaper beer. I kind of think those beers all kind of have a similar flavor, and at least from my layman experience, other than the show, I've kind of associated that with the yeasty kind of flavor.
Gotcha.
Does that seem right?
Yeah. They don't have a whole lot of extra flavors going on with them, so I guess what flavors are there are going to stand out more.
Yeah. And I get a little bit of that kind of a flavor from this. Like, it has other flavors that totally make it way better than a cheap beer, but it kind of has that kind of that same sort of feel to it a little
You
bit.
just don't like smaller beers. You
But
like
then
big numbers.
but now at the same time, I don't like the super big number sweet ones either. Right? It's like I'm in this terrible beer limbo right now, and I don't know how to get out of it. I'm just gonna keep drinking them until I figure it out.
Beergatory or whatever you
Yeah,
want.
Beergatory. I like it. That's where I'm at right now. I'm stuck. I like it though because it is very crisp and fresh.
It is.
It's nice and light. It doesn't linger in your mouth a lot, which is really good. So
Citrusy there a little bit, not super strong. It's more in the aroma than it is in the flavor.
yeah, I've noticed a lot of aroma, kind of almost adding to the flavor of this beer as you go to drink it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is good. It's easy to drink.
Yes, it is. Unlike last week's beer.
Yes.
How you
Can
like
we
that
talk
segue?
about? You like
Yes.
that? Okay, I did like that. Thank you. So last week we drank Sunset Coffee Oatmeal Milk Stout. I
Yes.
totally stole Beer Thunder again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
And we had Kristen and Emily on the show. They were on the show with me for the Wonder Woman episode, and I also have an after party with them. I think I'm going to release it the week of the 12th next month because that's my wife's birthday, so it'll be fun to have her episode out there. And I gave the beer 5.75. You gave it a 4, really high number. Kristen, my wife, gave it a 3.75, and Emily gave it a 5.
Yep.
Which I think actually a 5 is pretty good for Emily because she really emphasized she does not like coffee.
Yes. She does not like coffee, but actually said she wouldn't mind drinking that beer again if it was there.
Yeah, like she wouldn't just turn it away.
No.
Right? Yeah. She doesn't seem to be super picky about beer, really. Maybe
Yeah,
just about
as long as it's
alcohol
beer.
in general, I don't know. Yeah. But we all kind of agreed it had some abrasive qualities to it.
Yeah, it was not very well balanced.
No.
It was really heavy with each of the flavors that you got, and I didn't think any of them were. None of them were bad, but none of them were that well represented. Either the best representation of them. We've had other coffee beers and other stouts that were way better in each of those flavor representations than that was.
Yeah, well, and especially with the, again, I commented on the show with the oatmeal. Like, again, with my experience just from doing the show and having the beers that we've had, when we have a stout that's an oatmeal stout, it tends to be really nice and smooth.
Like the
oatmeal
Cash one
helps
was.
it helps to really round out the beer. And even though this was an oatmeal stout, I didn't really notice that helping it at all.
No.
It really wasn't very good.
No. And then so this one also a milk stout, so we have the lactose in it and all that stuff too. So.
Yeah. It wasn't that great. I don't encourage you to race out and get it. You didn't miss much. We continue to bash that beer. The other thing we did was we all went and saw Valerian together.
Yes.
Because we were all, well, other than Kristen, she likes Fifth Element, but she's not as diehard as us three.
Yes.
And
I didn't realize Emily was that diehard about it.
it's like her favorite movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, totally. It's up there for me also. I do think because we watched it before we went to go see Valerian, I watched it that morning, and I do think it's dated, and it doesn't, it's harder to go back and watch. I could see somebody that's never seen it without any nostalgia not being as big of a fan of it.
Gotcha. It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
like
I love it. It's really great.
It's kind of like I tried bringing somebody into Boondock Saints not too long ago.
Yeah, it's kind of that same
It's
way.
like, wow.
It's a little dated.
I went back and watched it again with like just kind of fresh eyes on it, and it's like, whoa. It was good in its day. It was really good in its day, but I don't think it's as good as I thought it was.
Yeah. And you even have like that nostalgia for it. So it's like
Yeah.
somebody new. I could totally see them thinking that Fifth Element is just beyond cheesy, which it is, but
Oh,
I love that
yeah.
about it, right?
It was beyond cheesy when it came out.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those movies that owns what it is, which we're big fans of.
Exactly.
But Valerian, my personal opinion, way worse than Fifth Element. It's really not. It's okay. It's not a great movie though. You don't need to race out and watch it.
Valerian had a lot of what was kind of, much like the beer. It had a lot of great parts that all stood out individually really well, but didn't work together.
Yeah, I totally agree. Emily had mentioned she thought it would be a good series. Like it'd be better as a
that would have
TV
been a
series.
great TV series.
Yeah, it almost felt like
Which actually fits what you were saying was the origin better, which was just a little episodic comic.
yeah, it was kind of like a graphic. Yeah, because I think when it originally appeared, I got the feeling it's almost like The Simpsons, how they were like originally that skit on the Tracy Ullman show. Isn't that right?
I have no idea.
I believe before The Simpsons were actually a show, it was like this skit on another show, and then it turned into a full show. And I think that's kind of how Valerian comic. It was like originally this comic that was in a magazine before it got like fully made into a comic. So it totally had that kind of same sort of history. But I totally agree, because the movie felt like super rushed, but then at the same time like a pointless rush to it, right? Like nothing was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't understand why they're in such a hurry to make all these things happen when they could have just omitted a couple of those things and kind of fleshed out some of the rest of it without having this weird kind of tone and feel to it.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that.
It was okay. Rent it. Don't go with the theater. It's
or
not worth
if
it.
you do, I think it'd be worth doing the theater as long as you do a matinee.
Yeah. Don't go in expecting Fifth Element though.
No. And that said though, there's a lot of nods to Fifth Element in it though.
Yeah. Which and again, like I said, I kind of like Kristen felt that after we watched Fifth Element, she said it's good, but I don't really get what all the hype's about, right? And I can totally see as a new person coming in. So maybe this is kind of like stuck in that same kind of bubble. I don't know. It was okay. We gave it, I gave it a 4.5, which is actually, it's borderline in a not a turd, right? It's still in the not a turd zone. It's just below okay. You gave it a 5.
Yep.
Which is okay. Kristen gave it a 5.25, which is just better than okay. And Emily also gave it an okay.
Yep.
So that brings all that together. You're all caught up. We're all caught up.
And that is episode 87 in a nutshell.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah, there's a lot of other drinking and fun stuff that went on. We get to remember it. Sorry you were left out.
Yeah.
So before we get into our nerd play, I do want to please ask people to like and subscribe. If you're watching it on YouTube, really helps us out. We'd really like to have our own YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Besides that, it just makes us feel good about ourselves, and we really appreciate it. So please do.
He needs a bigger head.
Yes, obviously. So I can buy bigger hats. And the other thing you can do is go to patreon.com/nerdbuzzed, and you can now, for $35 or more, don't feel like you have to stop at $35, you can donate and get a swag bag, which includes a t-shirt. This is my special green one, but you get a gray one, or red if I still have them, and 2 stickers plus a magnet.
Nice.
So do it.
Does the dollar deal still count?
I have to redo the dollar deal. I accidentally deleted it, so I'm learning too, people. But I will put it back up there.
All right.
So now, on to our nerd play. This month, for July, we played...
Kill everyone.
That's what happens, right? Maybe not kill everyone, but everyone die.
Oh, there you go.
Because you don't really kill them, right? They die.
Yeah, the one person I was actively trying to kill wouldn't die.
Yes, who's my favorite. We played Until Dawn on the PS4. I would say our last month, June's game was Life is Strange. I think they're very kind of similar. It's very episodic, third person. I guess you would say it's like an action, third person kind of action game, but in the minimalist sense, really.
Yeah.
Kind of more like a choose your own adventure storytelling game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even want to call it like a Telltale game, because it's different than that too. It's very like Life is Strange. If you watch that episode, you know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
It's done by Life is Strange was done by Square Enix, and this game is done by Supermassive. But when we first started playing this, I think like 3 episodes ago, I told you when you were playing it, I wanted to know if you thought it seemed more Square Enix than Life
by
is Strange,
far,
right? Like the character models and everything.
The budget for character design and everything, yeah.
And actors, like there's big name people in it, and way higher budget. Not nearly as the indie feel that Life is Strange has.
Yeah.
But you play, I guess should I give them a quick breakdown? Just what it is?
Sure.
It's 8 characters that, very, very classic, cheesy horror story where they go up to one of them's super wealthy.
I know what you did last summer, yeah.
Yeah, totally that kind of thing, right? Teenagers, they go up to this like ski resort that one of the kids' parents, actually 3 of them in the beginning, their parents own it. They have a bunch of money, and antics ensue. One of the kids runs off, and then 2 of them end up going missing. And so the next year they all go back, which is where you kind of exit the tutorial and then you take over the game. And so then you play as the different characters through 10 chapters. You kind of switch characters during each chapter, but you make decisions that will either they will live or they will die by the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I actually thought it was a lot of fun.
I thought it was kind of funny because when you do die, it shows you what triggered that death.
Yeah.
In a little gray cut scene right before or right after you die.
Yeah.
When it replays it.
Yeah.
And I thought a couple of them were the reason they died was way further back than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, because it really seemed like the decisions you made in this game really impacted the outcome.
Yeah.
Which I thought was actually pretty cool. I think you could play the game again. And even the way that you meet up with the guy, like your therapist kind of guy, between the chapters.
I actually really enjoyed that.
I did too. I thought that was pretty cool. And the way his world got more and more warped as you kind of got more and more warped through it. And then you would make decisions there, like what scares you more. What are you scared of more, clowns or scarecrows? Or what, snakes or spiders? And like you would do all these things. So, of course, all the things that you said you're more scared of would be all the things that show up in the game.
Yeah.
Right. And you're supposed to answer it truthfully, of course, so that it's more impactful for you. But I liked how it had all that type of element too.
Yes.
And again, it really impacted the game. So I give it lots of props for that. I actually have a lot of good things I could say about this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering if you weren't quite so much.
I'm not. The game itself's pretty cool. I like the format. I liked Life is Strange. Mm-hmm. And a lot for the same reasons. But just the story that we're following, I am not in any way, shape, or form a fan of your classic horror genre.
Yeah.
I just am not. And like the jump scare thing, which is what they do all the time. It's like, okay, it's so dumb. I saw that coming a mile ago. Just get it over with, please.
So I played like at least I played through the whole game with my wife, but I bet it was close to 50-50 that we had the controller in our hand, right? She played with the controller, I played the controller. I want to say at least conservatively, like 8 times. She literally jumped when things would happen in the game.
Really?
And she knew it was coming. She'd like scoot closer to me on the couch and just like look at me and was like, I don't want to play anymore. You take it. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen around this corner. And then it would totally happen like you said, and she would literally almost jump right in my lap. So that made the experience a little more enjoyable for me. Totally.
Nice. Nice. No, so I had a friend, Gabe, who was on our last filler episode.
Yeah,
the,
After Party 2.
After Party 2.
Yeah.
He came over, and so I handed him the controller and let him play through. He's not a gamer. Not a gamer at all.
Well, not your type of gamer.
Well, okay, yeah, but I mean, yeah. he I think he has an Xbox.
Okay.
So, the buttons are completely different for him.
Yes.
But yeah, all the little mini game stuff that was coming up, half the people died just because he couldn't hit the right buttons.
Yeah, that would be. I could see for somebody that isn't used to playing PlayStation, those scenes would be hard. Like those were difficult for Kristen to get through.
Yeah,
she did a lot of them, and then
the climbing and stuff like that.
Yeah, where you get the triangle pops up on the screen, hit triangle or square, and some of them you have to do it pretty quickly.
Yes, especially if you chose if they had the like climb or jump.
Yeah,
the jump stuff was going to come quicker.
Yeah,
because it was a little bit more dangerous.
Or if you chose, or like the short path or the quick path or whatever, it totally gave you the because as the icons pop up, they have a little ring around them, but even as they progress, because sometimes there'd be like 4 of them to hit. By that last one, that ring was flying through.
Yes.
You had to be really on it. So
yep.
I did pretty good on most of those. I was able to save most people because of that. I think
I only screwed up on one of those mini games.
Oh, nice.
Myself, of the ones that I played.
Nice. Should I do this for you?
Yes.
Give me one.
Should.
Thanks. I had to ask for it, but it's still cool.
Oh my god. Anyway,
I think that I do think Life is Strange and this game are very similar, but they're drastically different at the same time. I'm also not the hugest fan of horror myself, but I appreciate how cliche and almost to like a cheesy point that this game was to the genre. I liked that about it.
Yeah.
Like it was, if you're a fan of that kind of horror, this is right up your alley. You're going to love this game. It's going to do all those classic tropes and cliche things.
If Dusk Till Dawn is your go-to best movie ever,
yeah,
you'll love this game.
Or I was trying to think, what's the horror movie that I actually really enjoyed? I think is it Cabin in the Woods?
I've never seen it.
I think that's the one where it's like where all this crap happens, and by the end it's like there's this like elevator that goes down in the ground, and all your like classic monsters are all in these different cages, and they like release them to scare people in this cabin. It's like this business they run down there. So, and I love how it gets so cheesy and campy by the end. I think it's Cabin in the Woods.
Okay. Well,
I'm
see,
not sure.
only reason I said Dusk Till Dawn is because the vampires in Dusk Till Dawn look an awful lot like the Wendigo
Yes.
in this game, and they also act an awful lot like the Wendigo in this game. So
Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah.
so that's the only reason I said that.
Yeah. And I commented, I think on our Lost episode, the thing I think of when I think of Wendigo is I think the guy Wolverine fought in the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man series is he fights Wendigo. Wendigo looks nothing like these Wendigos. He doesn't at all. He's like this big hairy beast, almost like a burly, like a Hulk version of Sasquatch. Mm-hmm. And these are like string bean, weird, creepy, always crawling on stuff. A classic horror movie kind of like stretched out Gollum almost looking things.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually came away kind of enjoying it. I thought it was good for what it was.
I didn't dislike the play style, but I much appreciated the storytelling of Life is Strange better.
Yeah.
So I mean that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I mean I'd play through this again. I would totally play through this again.
And I would like to play through it again almost and just see how drastically different things could be, right?
I want to see if I can keep the people alive.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it came down to one of them where Gabe walks up down this pathway, and you can hear the trapdoor rattling. It's like, okay, obviously the trapdoor's rattling, and it's not like a person doing it. It's something way bigger.
Yeah.
You don't open the trapdoor.
He hasn't watched enough horror movies. Even I knew that, right?
I know,
yeah,
but
I've seen like 3 horror movies.
But I'm like, you know what's going to happen, Gabe? Uh-huh. So he opens the trapdoor, it flies out, rips the head off, and then drags him away. I'm like, all right, well, another one down.
Yeah, well, maybe he's just trying to stay true to horror movies.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to ask you then, if you had to pick a favorite character from Until Dawn, who would it be?
Favorite character from Until Dawn? Oh.
I think is there 4 guys and 4 girls?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna go with the blonde, the main blonde,
The cheerleader
chick. Yeah.
Which neither of us saved. We didn't
No,
save
I
the
saved
world.
her.
Oh, you did? Nice. You saved the cheerleader, so you saved the world. Nice
Yeah,
job.
that's how I killed Mike.
Oh, awesome. Who was my favorite? I loved Mike so much. I thought Mike was your cliche frat boy asshole. He just is. I love him so much.
the entire game trying to kill Mike, and the final decision I got to make, it was like, comes down to flip the switch or save Mike. I'm like, oh, I'm not saving Mike.
Yeah. Is there a kill Mike switch? I'll flip that one. Yeah.
It did. It totally killed Mike and 2 other people that were in the room.
Awesome. I thought Mike was great. He cracked me up through the whole thing. He's as close as I'm going to get to a Vegeta in this game.
Yeah.
He was, and I loved him. Me and Kristen were both huge fans of him throughout the game. There was a point where Mike is walking around with his new girlfriend, because his ex-girlfriend's also in the game, just to entice more drama.
Yes.
Where he's walking around with her. They're looking for a generator. I'm trying to remember what her name was. I can't remember. It starts with a J.
Yeah,
Jessica or something.
Yeah, I think it's Jessica. Jessica.
So she's going around with him, and they're looking for the generator.
So you killed Jessica, right?
Well, she died.
She died. Okay,
Yeah.
she died because of your inaction or something.
Yeah.
So how was her death? What was her death?
I think it was the same thing. She got yanked through the window at first, and then
Yeah.
you came across her later in the like caverns, and she gets dropped at the elevator. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And then I don't think she was the one that got her jaw ripped off.
In mine, she got her jaw ripped clean off and then dropped down into an elevator shaft.
Yeah, maybe that is how it happened. I can't remember. People started dying so much. I only made it through with how many? 4 people. I got half of them that lived.
I made it to the end with 4, and had I saved Mike, I probably could have.
Yeah. You're like, screw Mike. As long as Mike doesn't live, everybody else can die.
Yeah, I ended up saving 2 people.
My favorite line we were playing is when they were looking for the generator, and the one chick's like, "Oh my God, Mike, will you just find the generator? We're supposed to be looking for the generator." And me and Kristen are like, "Dude, his new girlfriend sucks. I wish she'd shut up." And then right as we said that, Mike's like, "Well, maybe I could find it if I just yell at it like you're yelling at me." And like, he has such awesome responses. Like, Mike is such a douchebag. I love him. That's the point of playing games, right? You
Yeah.
get to live out these personas of assholes you'd never actually meet. Hence why I love GTA so much. And okay, so I think
But you dress the same even.
as Mike.
No, as your GTA. No.
Oh yeah. No, I wear pants most of the time. GTA is a pants off party. If you play with me, sometimes you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, because
Me and Walter.
I asked John, I said, so is there a dress code for your wedding? And he goes, as long as you don't dress like your GTA character.
So wear pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My GTA character dresses nice all the time. Unlike
Hey,
me,
mine
really.
dresses nice too, man.
Right.
Almost as nice as Walter. Because he's always got that bow tie.
Oh, yeah, that's
He
right.
might not be wearing anything else, but he's got that bow tie. I actually think Until Dawn is totally worth downloading. I think hopefully people have downloaded it. I tried to put it out on Facebook to download it and on Twitter. I really think it's worth it. It's totally free. It's a great game to sit down and play with your significant other, whoever that is, even if they're not super into video games. Me and Kristen watch way too much TV together. So because this is so episodic like a TV show, it has like last time on or next time on, and like totally like watching a TV show. It really catered to our hangout style, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why we both enjoyed it so much. Really the only complaint I have about it is during the game, because it's so story
Oh my god,
based,
it's so annoying.
and
Yeah.
it has such a constant great pace that the game moves at, right? It really moves pretty quickly, and it's great. Whenever you go to pick up an item, it's like a 3-button maneuver to do such a simple task that
Yeah.
it takes away from that pace of the game. It really gets a big knock from me for that.
Yeah, the controls for that is awful.
It should just be a walk up to it. It shines like any game does. If you play games, you know if the thing has a glimmer, you go check it out, right?
Exactly.
And so you should be able to go do that and just hit X. And that's all you should have to do when you get next to it. You have to hit X, and then they'll grab it, and then you have to move the analog stick to find the thing. And then sometimes you have to hit a button again or like hold another button or do something to activate whatever the thing is, and then put it away. And it's like all that just takes too much time.
Yeah.
It's not even super responsive. Like if you could hit the buttons quickly and make the action happen real fast, it might not be such a big deal. But you have to wait for each button to engage. It really takes away from the game.
Yeah, that's bad.
It was my biggest complaint. I couldn't believe that was done so poorly when there was so much attention to the rest of the game. So
Yeah. No, that was awful. I mean, it's just you reach down, it's like, and it's like shows him reaching, then he stop.
Yeah.
It goes to the cut screen, and then you have to reach, and then it grab, pick it up, roll it, put it back down, set it down, and you're done.
yeah. Well, in meantime, like right before that, you were running through a hallway being chased by Wendigos, and like
Exactly.
somebody screaming. It's like crazy and frantic, and the pace, and you're like almost on the edge of your seat playing the
and
game.
then you stop,
Yeah. It just
Grab it.
completely pulls you out of it.
pick it up, roll it over.
It's terrible. Yeah, you're ruining our show by doing it, right? It's like that bad. It's so bad. I really was not a fan of it. It gets a big hit from me for that, actually. Just because it's such a flaw to the design. So
It was something to be so easily fixed too.
right, just make it X.
Yeah,
None
X
of the
goes straight
movements.
to the cutscene.
Yeah, if you could actually turn the things and like find multiple things on it that like now unlocks different things, but that's never how it worked. It was just
No.
you always pick it up from the wrong side to then roll it to the correct side. Just have me grab it and look at that side right away and then move on.
Yep.
And they wouldn't do it. So it actually gets a big hit for me. To me, that's like easily worth a whole point less because of that. And it's such a minimal part of the game, but it takes over and ruins such a major part of the game, even though it's in these little spurts because of how bad that part of it is.
Yeah.
It's really bad. But other than that, I really don't want to emphasize on that part because it's totally worth sitting through that to play the game because I do think the game is a good game.
It is pretty good.
Yeah. Should we throw a score on it?
Sure.
Do you want I did put Life is Strange down here just because they're somewhat similar. I gave Life is Strange an 8.75 and you gave it an 8.5.
Yeah.
So just to put us in perspective, I'm going to give this game, man, I love Life is Strange because it's so much more like artsy and kind of independent, right? It almost feels, there's a little more passion of like a team in there that I like.
Yeah.
I think this game is still pretty good though. I'm going to give it an 8.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's worth an 8. I
Really?
think it does what it's supposed to do really well. I think I would give it okay, I'm going to go 7.75 because of that stupid grab thing. It's not quite an 8. It's not quite great, but it's borderlining on great for me.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you give it? I know you're not going to give it as high. I actually
No.
really enjoyed it.
No, I was only gonna go straight 7.
Okay. So I'm going to give it 7.75, and you're going to give it a 7.
Yep.
All right. So now we get to pick a new one, a new nerd play
Yes.
for August, and we got offered Just Cause and Assassin's Creed. Those are the big heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Just Cause 3 and Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. And I have to mention, I love writing Assassin's Creed because I get to write ass twice in a row, and it cracks me up every time.
Once capitalized even.
Yeah, right. I love it. Makes me chuckle. We did already review Just Cause 3.
Yes,
And I'm actually super stoked that is a game that we get for free because it's a game that once PlayStation 4 games are going to be like in the super discount bin for like $15 or something, I think I would have been okay with buying Just Cause for that price. Mm-hmm. It's not a crappy game by any means. It's just very rough around the edges. But it's a guilty pleasure game. It totally is.
Yes.
For me, it was anyway.
Well, who doesn't like throwing a parachute out and gunning?
Right, and a grappling hook to grab stuff. It had some major flaws in it, but overall, it was just this cheap thrill that was fun.
I don't know what I got such a great time out of knocking deer down and grapple hooking them to cars that were going by.
Oh yeah, you could lock all sorts of things to get right. You could just do cheesy, stupid stuff. It was almost like a game where it's not super great, but it gave you these different options and things to do for you to make it more great, right?
Yeah.
To add your own influence to it and just make it absurd. So I love that about it.
Watching people drag deer around.
Yeah. And we gave Just Cause, I gave it a 7 and you gave it a 6.5, which I think is appropriate scores. It's not great by any means, but it's loads of fun.
Yeah.
But so we're going to play Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. So download it, play it with us. I'm actually really excited.
Yeah, and like we've said in the past, you got the PlayStation Plus, get the app.
Totally, please get the app.
The app.
So worth it.
Hit download or hit purchase on the app for these. You don't have to download them to your game system, but once you purchase them, as long as you have your Plus, you've got them forever.
Yes, and they're totally free. It just sits in your library.
Yep.
And then you can download it whenever you want, so it doesn't even have to take up hard drive space.
Exactly.
And I really think Just Cause is so worth it. I'm going to do it. There's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
And Assassin's Creed, the Freedom Cry, is supposed to take place right after. It was DLC, I believe, for Black Flag, but it's like its own separate standalone.
Kind of like the Last of Us Left Behind. Yeah.
Which I've actually been hearing interesting things about. So they're saying it's not. It's a departure from your. No. I'm thinking of Uncharted, the new, which is also a standalone DLC, right? But I've been hearing good things about it. They're saying it's not the. It steps away from what Uncharted has kind of fallen into a little bit.
Okay,
so it's good
which
news
is something
for me.
you wanted to do.
I have wanted it to do that. So I'm really actually pretty curious about that. But the Assassin's Creed one is the follow-up to Black Flag, and I have to say I don't like Assassin's Creed. It's not a game I really would say anybody has to race out and play. But Black Flag was recommended to me, and I really went into it not expecting much, and I'm like, there's like 2 tasks I have to do that are little stupid things, and I would platinum that game.
Really?
I got every single thing you could find on the map. My ship is fully upgraded. And like for me, that was a big part of it, was that you could get ships, and not quite Wind Waker, but kind of that style where you just sail out into the ocean and discover this massive map and all these different enemies and battle other pirate ships. It was really cool. And so I think this one you get a ship also.
Okay.
So I'm pretty stoked about it. So we're going to play Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. Play it with us. Hopefully it's as good as Black Flag.
It should be.
I would assume. So, we're already a half hour in. Do you want to talk about anything? Any nerd thing? Or you want to just jump into Death Note? I put one down here that I think you would be interested in. We can touch on it briefly. Should we do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So also, we got announced that Hellboy, Rise of the Blood Queen, which I know you're a Hellboy fan.
Yes.
I also, again, they're kind of Fifth Element for me. They're like, I think if somebody that didn't have that nostalgia for them watched it, they might think they're kind of campy and cheesy, but I enjoy that about it, right? They're movies that own what they are.
They are, and they're one of the earlier comic book movies that I got into.
Yeah.
Before anything else, I mean, it's just like this is cool. I had no idea it was a comic at the time.
Oh yeah.
Whether I read it or that I saw it, and I was like, that got me totally to go check out some of the comics.
It reminds me of how I felt about that first Ninja Turtles movie because it's so costume-esque, but the costumes, they're clearly costumes like Hellboy is in it, but I love how much of an effort was made to make him look like the guy from the comic, right? Even though he's got this ridiculous arm thing on and he's so much red makeup and cheesy little horn things, but I love that they were so true to that look in it, which sold it for me so much when they did all those things.
Although I like the comic book style with the heavy lines and the I don't know how you put it, way more stylized with this.
Yeah, I was almost thinking it almost has this like maybe more colorful sort of noirish kind of feel to it.
The comic?
Yeah. It's not, when I think of noir, I think that the kind of like the blacks and grays and yellows, but this has got more colors in it than that, but it kind of reminds me of that kind of tone and style to it.
Yeah.
Which I agree. I like the look of the comics. It's cool. So I think you'll be stoked then because it's also going to be darker, more like the comics.
Okay.
They're shooting for an R rating.
Which it could totally use.
Yes. And the Hellboy is going to be played by David Harbour. Does that look right?
I'm not sure who that is.
He is the... did you ever watch Stranger Things? Stranger Things is this like throwback to the 80s. I almost think of like Stand By Me.
Okay.
And it's all these kids and this like supernatural stuff starts happening. This like gang of... Or almost like Goonies kind of, right? It's got that kind of feel to it. The supernatural stuff happens and these kids kind of decide to handle it themselves and whatever. So there's a sheriff in the town. If you watch that show, the guy who plays the sheriff in it is going to be the guy who plays Hellboy.
Okay.
I think that's probably his most notable thing he's done. And the people that are making the new Hellboy watched Stranger Things, and when they watched it, they thought, this guy's got to be Hellboy. In our movie.
Nice.
So they pursued him, and it turns out he's a big fan of Hellboy. He loves the comics. He really wants it to be true to the comics and everything.
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
If it turns out to be like another Ryan Reynolds
That's
scenario,
exactly what I was thinking when you were talking that. I was like,
yeah,
sweet.
I think that's what superhero movies need, is they need people that are as passionate about playing that character and staying true to the fans as the fans are, right?
Yeah.
That's what helps sell that character. They know that in and out also.
Yeah,
so,
but see, right, as long as like with the Ryan Reynolds one though, it's
more beer.
yes, we have more beer.
Thank you.
And it's open already.
Nice.
Let me help you
You're
out.
so good to me.
No, like with the Ryan Reynolds one is he is obviously a nerd and passion for the genre himself.
Yeah.
And he's bringing the character to life, true to the character, not true to his vision of the character. He's not changing it to what he thinks his take on it would be. It's no, this is the character. This is who it is, and this I'm doing my best to play it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I do think like with Ryan Reynolds there is definitely some influence of just kind of who he is that's added to that character. I do think it caters to who Deadpool is so well.
Yes.
Right. But I totally agree with you that he wants to bring Deadpool to the screen in the appropriate light. He realizes what Deadpool was and clearly had to have been a fan himself. So
entirely.
And I'm hoping those things for Hellboy. He's a big Hellboy fan, and it's supposed to come out in 2018.
Oh, so not far away either.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. So I thought that was cool. It was at the Comic-Con where he was on the first time he officially came up and like announced that he's Hellboy and was tied himself to the movie.
Releasing December 30th.
Yeah,
2018.
right. Yeah. Almost. Yeah, right at the end of the year. Real quick, I do want to comment just because I'm such a big fan. If you have not played this game, I really recommend everybody goes out there and buys Dying Light. You can get it for so cheap with all of the DLC. And we're supposed to stop making stuff for it and kind of supporting it by 2016. Just announced we're going to get 10 free DLC contents within the next 12 months.
Nice.
That will include new enemies, new events, new mysteries and things to find in the city, plus much, much more. I'm so stoked with that. That's super, super cool. That's a lot of content for a game that I'm pretty sure you can pick up the like ultra deluxe version for like $30.
Oh, sweet.
So and it's so worth it. It's parkour, zombie crafting stuff, and as you beat up the zombies, your weapons deteriorate. And like it's so good. It has so many elements in the game that are in place to make it awesome.
I gotta say, there's lots of things in the game that I liked.
Yeah,
but I didn't care for the game itself.
Yeah, there's definitely some some control issues in the game and things. But once you get into it, like you get this sweet ninja grappling hook where you can almost like Spider-Man with it and hook it to different buildings and swing around, and like it's pretty cool. And even wear a ninja costume and you get a katana. Like my guy's decked out ninja. It's sweet. But it's so much fun. It's such a guilty play. It's like Just Cause, right? I can't give it like this amazing score, but it's totally worth your $30. It really is. So I'm stoked about that. Lucas watches the show. My brother, me and him beat the game together. You can totally play co-op with I think up to 4 people. So kind of Borderlands-ish, which also makes it a lot of fun.
Nice.
Sometimes
which I
zombies
need to get into. I really need to get into Borderlands.
Yeah, you should get the Handsome Jack collection. Again, another game you can get for like $20.
It's an FPS. I'm not big into those, but
You would like it because it has like the Conquer kind of like elements.
Exactly.
It's really campy.
I like that's what I've watched you play, and I like those little things.
Yeah.
But I tried getting into it once before, and I couldn't really do it. But I think if I had somebody else there helping me a little bit,
Yeah.
until I at least got it all down, it'd be better.
Yeah. It is, and it's beyond. That's the game that makes Walter throw up in like 5 minutes.
Oh, well,
I
maybe
bought him that. I should just have him give you the
I was
game.
gonna say,
I
well,
bought.
maybe he wants to sell it.
I bet he'd just give it to you. I bought it for him when I bought mine because I was like, we need to play something other than GTA. And we sat down first night. I bet we played 5, maybe 10 minutes of it. And I could literally hear him sitting there, like, starting to breathe heavy and swallowing a lot. And he's like, I can't do it. I don't have any Dramamine. I cannot do this. Like, he literally had to, like, overdose on Dramamine to play 30 minutes of that game.
Oh.
So I don't think you'll have the issue, but
No.
him and my wife are weird that way.
Weird.
I think it's the lack. Again, it's the lack of the control, though. He's not good at controlling it, so he makes himself like car sick, motion sick.
That's kind of like me when I first 2 times I took controls on the airplane.
Oh yeah.
I don't get airsick, but I made myself airsick the first 2 times I flew because I just couldn't.
Is that a testament to the quality of the game? If the game makes you sick.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that when I was like in actual true airplane flight.
Yeah. Oh, real airplane. Okay, not Game World.
No.
Okay.
In real airplane flight, I mean, yeah.
You got motion sick.
I don't get car sick. I don't get motion sick, but I got motion sick with me.
Yeah.
In the control.
And I think that's just the lack of experience, right?
Because it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do.
Yeah, totally. I think it was more the play. You weren't doing what the plane wanted you to do.
Well, actually funny because I was talking to somebody and he gave me the advice. It's the same thing that I tell people that ride motorcycles is just give it some rein, let it do its thing. It's going to dance around on you and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the advice he gave me for the airplane. I'm like, I should probably listen to my own advice.
Yeah.
And next time I went up, smooth, level, straight flight. It's like, oh, I've been doing this for ages.
Well, I can even see with the airplane because you have the different air currents and whatever
that's
going
exactly.
on, right?
And
It's
I was fighting every little movement that it had. It's like, no, I just need to let it dance. Just let it do its thing.
Totally.
So.
And lastly, real quick, I just want to touch on it because I'm super stoked about it. But Frank Miller is going to do a Superman Year One comic, which is going to focus on, obviously, the first year of him being Superman, which is super cool. The guy, help me out if I do it wrong, John Romita Jr., does that look right?
Sounds good.
Awesome. He is the artist that did the Last Crusade, the one where that kind of was like the prequel to the Dark Knight stuff and how Jason died. Do you remember that one? Against the Joker. Joker ends up killing him in the end of it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was... It's a sweet comic. All right, I'll hook you up with it. It's really, really good. And it's just one comic. It's not... It starts and ends.
I think I have read that one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. It has a lot of that really awesome internal dialogue. He fights Killer Croc. Batman fights him in it.
No, I did not read that one then. Sorry.
And at the end of it, spoiler alert, if you don't know, then you're not a Batman fan, but Jason dies by the Joker at the end of it. And it's that whole story, and it's actually done really, really well. So I'm super stoked that they're going to collaborate and make that comic because I love Frank Miller writing, and I loved the art in that Last Crusade comic. So
nice.
I'm stoked. So now, let's do let's sum up some Death Note, and then we'll get to do a wrap up. I have this kind of weird, kind of love-hate thing with Death Note a little bit. I think there's some serious garbage in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But I kept talking as our shows went on through July about how much I loved it. It's like one of the first animes that I'm chomping at the bit to keep watching up. I find myself avoiding obligations I have so I can keep watching it.
Did you finish it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do think the end is better.
Yeah, the last like 3 episodes. I think Whirlwind closes, and it's amazingly good the way they closed it.
Yes, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I do love the journey of Light, right? Throughout the whole thing. I love that he starts out so like the voice of justice and like reason, and I'm gonna polish the world, and I'm gonna get rid of all the bad stuff. And then he starts transitioning into crazy.
Transitioning into I will be God.
Yeah, totally. Yes, he has a complete God complex. Basically, it's this guy that there's these gods of death, and they have this notebook called
Shinigami.
Yeah, the Shinigami, and they have a notebook called Death Note that if they lose it in the human world and a human picks it up, they can then see the Shinigami, and they can write somebody's name in it. And 40 seconds, I think.
Yes.
Within 40 seconds, that person will die of a heart attack unless otherwise specified in the book. And
they have to get it. They have to write it in there within 40 seconds.
Yeah, I think you get. Yeah, you have to at least keep writing after that, because I think you get like 6 minutes after that or something
6 minutes, 40
to fill
seconds
it out.
is the maximum.
And I thought those numbers were weird. There's like such weird random, but I like that about it too, right?
Just defined rules.
Yeah,
all that matters.
whatever, right? Yeah.
We didn't make them; they're just there.
Yeah, and it has a bunch of rules about the book and how it all works. And I really went into
25.
this. No, there's a ton of rules about the book. Yeah, I looked it up online. There's like 30 something of them, I think. Well, and it varies between the anime and the manga.
Okay. Well, so when he first picks it up, there's only 5 that are listed.
Oh, maybe. And like during the commercial breaks of each show, you get a new rule when it exits to commercial, and then when it comes back, you get another rule.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that.
Maybe they are like 5 long rules, and they like break them out by paragraph. Maybe that's how it works.
Maybe.
I don't know. I kept trying to pause it and read them throughout the whole thing. But I really went into it thinking I'm the super action guy, right? I want them to put their suit on. I want them to fight, and I want them to have like throw their anger around like Dragon Ball Z and like transform.
It's
not what it is at all. But I really, really enjoyed it.
That's what I loved about it is how there's not a lot of background music that's driving it. There's a little bit, but there's really not a lot of mood setting. It's all done through the dialogue.
Yeah, it's very much like a cat and mouse story.
Yes.
Right? The Light, who has the book.
And his own dad. That's so sad.
Yeah. Like, and by the end, he just, his morals and just kind of go out the window, right? His conscience just doesn't affect him anymore, right?
What conscience?
Yeah, right? It's just like, he isn't affected by any of those
All
things.
he's doing is just trying to preserve his own pride now.
Yeah. And it really turns into this, like, how long can he get away with being Kira? It's not Akira. Remember that? I was like, I keep wanting to say Akira, but it's just Kira, who's like his persona, his god of death that he thinks he is.
Yes.
And so he just starts killing off random people. And then L is the guy, the main detective anyway through it, that is trying to discover who Kira is. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really done really well.
Talk about a messed up character though.
L?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and even his like replacements that kind of come along at the end.
What's his? I can't remember what his backstory is, but he had to have a messed up backstory to be that.
Yeah, the old dude that's like his super wealthy companion, right? Kind of like his Alfred, right? That goes around with him. I believe they have an orphanage where they raise gifted people, and they're all like weird. They kind of have, what would you call them? Like social disorders, right? They all kind of have their own different sort of social disorder, but they definitely they're introverts, right?
Yes.
And, but they're like super brainy, and they can just like deduce what's going on, very detective kind of minds. And so he kind of raises them and hones those skills for them, and kind of emphasizes them being these weird introverted kind of people. He kind of seems to emphasize that, but I think that he's like the financial backer for all that stuff. And so they come from this orphanage, and he's like the super detective to try to find Light. And we kind of watched it to, at least I did. My motivation was because Netflix is coming out with a live show.
Yes.
And I've since watched the trailer, and I have to say I'm a little disappointed that the movie is trying to emulate the show so much. I'd wish it definitely has some distinct differences if you watch the trailer, and I haven't actually heard very good things about it. But I was really hoping that because in the anime, they could do like another Death Note series with somebody else that finds the Death Note.
Oh,
right?
easily.
Like making the story about the Death Note, not the characters from the anime. And I really kind of wish the movie would have done that. Like, just make it a different person. It doesn't have to be Light. It doesn't have to be the same Shinigami or whatever, but just make it Death Note and about the book, not so much about the characters. And trying
Which
to
they
conform to it.
established the Shinigami world is there's billions of them.
Yeah, and they've all got these Death Notes,
Yep.
right? But I think for it not being my typical anime that I love, which if you followed any of our Twitter posts or Facebook stuff, My Hero is rapidly approaching my favorite of all time. I really think it's done so well, and it's so Marcus. That anime is so what I want from it. If put the damn suit on, that anime, right?
Yes.
And it's great. This is not. It's in that category at all, but I really, really do enjoy it, and I really do recommend it for people. And that's coming from somebody that it's not their cup of tea.
I thought it was funny because I recommended it to you a long time ago, and you started watching. You said, "I can't watch this."
Yeah, it just wasn't, and that was why, right? Totally, because it's not. Initially, it wasn't what appeals to me about anime, but I think it's really good. I think there's a lot of really admirable things about it. A lot of appealing qualities. It has some garbage stuff kind of in the middle, like Misa. That whole stuff gets a little carried. In the beginning, I thought she was great, and they actually played off of each other really well. But by the end, she was just kind of she's kind of a Bulma character. There was like some filler stuff in there with her, and I just kind of got sick of her. But I think overall, it's a great series. It ends, which I love. It's
Yes.
like 37 episodes. I think that's 35, 37. But it's just that, and then it ends. You're not committed to watching, 500 episodes of something, which I love. That's really great about it. And overall, I think it's really good. I enjoyed it. The art style, I think, is good in it. It's not too much computery stuff in it.
The art style is what drew me in originally.
Yeah.
And like I said, then I got into the detective stuff, which is something I do like a lot.
Yeah, I love the cat and mouse game. That's so good about it. It's very thriller detective story.
Some of though you can tell the person that wrote the comic though, or wrote the story, is the same person that was writing for each character, because there's no way people would think like that in some of the way that they're doing the detective back and forth.
Yeah. Oh, there's some of those detective scenes where the one guy's like, I knew you would do that, so I did this thing. And the other guy's like, well, I knew you would do that, so I did this thing. And they're like, I knew you would do that, so I did
I know.
this. And it's like, it just kept snowballing. He's like, oh my God, when's it going to stop? But it's fun to watch all
in
that.
the end, you spent years building up a resistance to iocane powder.
Yes, right? Totally. Yeah. It's completely that type of a thing. Yes.
Oh my God. So.
It's really great. I love that. My favorite thing about it is that obviously the whole detective criminal cat and mouse game, but that progression into total crazy god complex of Light is really fun to watch, and it's done really well.
Yeah, he does go bonkers.
Yeah, and he starts out such a like timid kind of just under the radar person that doesn't, and he just kind of wants to just live his life and nonchalantly, and so the other end of the spectrum by the end of it. And it's really kind of cool to watch that transition.
I really enjoy it. It's like one of my favorite animes. So
yeah,
I actually wouldn't say
up
one
there
of
for
my
me, for
favorites,
sure.
but it's definitely up there.
At least a good solid runner-up.
Yeah, top 10.
Yeah,
Top 10.
I thought it was really good.
I'd probably say maybe not quite top 5. Maybe if it is 5, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to really emphasize it's not what it's not what I really care for in an anime, and I really, really enjoyed it. So don't be afraid to think outside the box a little bit and check it out. Shame on me for not being so willing to watch it in the beginning, but I'm really glad I did. So I'm going to be more receptive to your recommendations.
Well, I got this great one. It's got magic and
yeah, awesome. My favorite things. Nobody ever wears a costume. Full female cast.
Yeah.
So I guess, do we want to throw a number on Death Note?
Oh, sure, why not?
I think I'm going to give Death Note. I really think it. I'm going to kind of go with my theme, I think, and I think I'm going to give it like a 7.75. It's so borderline great for me.
So
There's some garbage in the middle, but yeah.
So.
Alrighty. I like that the game we played and the anime we played are both they're very horror kind of ish, right? And they're both things like genres that I'm not really into, but I totally came away satisfied and really enjoying them.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
broaden your horizons, people.
Yeah.
It's never too late in life to learn.
So what are we going to do for our next anime?
I don't know. We're kind of at this crossroads on that a little bit.
Should we announce it next episode? Put it out there, maybe get some
Should we see if somebody wants to recommend?
Yeah.
All right. So I like that idea. Let's throw it
All
out
right.
there. If you're watching, please if you want, reach us on Twitter at Nerdbuzzed. You can find us on Facebook at Nerdbuzzed, and you can even email us at Nerdbuzzed.
Nerdbuzz at Nerdbuzz.
Nerdbuzz at nerdbuzz.com.
Yes.
And totally let us know. We'll watch it. Because now I'm totally willing to give them all a try. 3 episodes. I do have that rule.
Yes.
You got to at least watch 3 episodes before you really judge it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes way more
I
than that.
sometimes
but,
like 5 episodes,
yeah.
6 episodes.
But if you're like 0 interested after 3, I think you at least tried.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, totally recommend it. That would be super cool. So, next week or wrap up the beer? Next week?
Yeah, let's get next week and then we can finish the beer and cheers and done.
All right. So next week we're going to drink Lambda, which is it's so appropriate.
I so wish you would have yelled that out at trivia.
Should I? Sorry.
You should have when we were when what was it, the Chud?
Oh, yeah. I did under my breath, but not
I know.
super loud.
I was like, oh, you should have said that way louder.
I know. I don't want to offend him, right? Because I love nerds at the same time. It's like I don't want to put him on the spot, but I should have.
Oh, she would. I know her. She would have totally appreciated it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we already kind of knew her, right? But
Yeah.
it's like somebody I don't know super well, and we all know the story that when you first met me, you didn't know if you should laugh or punch me in the face.
Yes.
So I come across that way to people sometimes.
Yes, you do. Which is why I wanted you to be the one to yell it out.
Thanks. But it's going to be a kick-ass beer. It comes in at 13%. It was
That's an ass kick beer, not.
yes, and it was brought to me by my brother. I wish that I had the T-shirt right now, but I will totally say what my brother's wife's cousin owns a bottle shop, and so hooked him up with some beers. We're gonna try a couple of them. This is gonna be the first one.
Nice.
Apparently, my brother has the same magical ability. Apparently, it's even
I'm
stronger
gonna
than
say,
mine.
say you taught him well.
Yeah, apparently, right? So it's from Melvin Brewing. I'm totally stealing your thunder again, dude.
No, go ahead, man.
From Alpine, Wyoming. I'm actually kind of excited to try this. I'm a little scared because it might be like sugar water. We'll see.
Yeah.
Right? Like caramel mapley syrup. I don't know.
I don't know.
See.
We'll find out
Yeah.
soon.
And then the other thing I do want to announce is that on August 1st, one of my absolute favorite PSP games is coming remastered to the PlayStation 4. It's called Patapon. It's a strategy, music-based, kind of side-scroller throwback to kind of old-school games. It's really done really, really well. You get these little, almost like sort of like Pikmin, where you have like these little characters that you control. And so when you hit the buttons in a rhythm, it does different actions for them, and so that's how you move across the screen in battle. And so as the music plays and as you do better, the music gets more kind of elaborate, and so it's really, really cool. It's no other game. It's very kind of Katamari, right? There's no other game like it. I'm really super stoked it's coming to PS4. If you pre-order in your PS Plus, I believe you save like 25%. It's like $12 or something. So,
Well, when you get it, I'll have to check it out.
yeah, right. I'm gonna get it because I'm a huge fan of it. So now
The beer.
to this beer that we were drinking.
Yes.
That's going right to my head. Also my favorite part.
Most things do. Anyway.
Yeah. My hat's getting bigger and bigger.
It stays crisp. It stays crisp all the way through. The citrus definitely comes out more.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Even
got
that little bit of that maltiness to it, too.
a little bit, but it's got the nice tart bite all the way through. I really like that.
I really think it's pretty well rounded. Again, the only thing I would say to it is that it has that. What would you say? What is the word I'm looking for? It's not yeasty, but it's like that. It's that like kind of lagery. What is that flavor that I'm getting out of those cheaper beers?
I
and
think
stuff?
it might be the yeast. I really do.
You think so?
I think you might
I'm
be
just
right. with it.
yeast sensitive. We all are. See, right to my head, right? See,
Yeah.
now people don't know if they should hit me or laugh.
The best part of that story though is your mom's response to it when she asked and heard that story. She's, "Oh, you don't want to hit him. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's just being funny."
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom. Well, mom's got my back.
Yeah. But she was just so quick to defend her little baby.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's my mom for sure. She's super mom. I think it's great. I think this would be because we're drinking the 22s. I think this is that makes it GTA appropriate, but it might be a little light for a GTA Tuesday if it wasn't a 22, right? But this is something I would totally keep in my fridge, and like on a nice hot summer day while I'm barbecuing or playing some cornhole or just, doing something outside like that.
Totally a lawnmower beer.
Oh, totally. Yeah. If I had a riding lawnmower with a beer holder, that's what those are, right?
Sure.
They're for holding beers, I'm sure of it. And this would be in there for me. It totally would. You could function, mow the lawn, get the job done, and then if it's Tuesday, you can then open the big number beer and finish it up after it because, it'd probably transition pretty well.
Yeah, I think it transitioned really well. This is a great beer. I really liking it a lot.
Yeah.
It's, totally good. Crisp, tart, a little bit of malt. Yeast.
It's the opposite of the coffee stout that we were not so fond of, right? It really it's so well rounded, so much lighter than that and crisper than that, but still has those like all those undertones that elevate it to to a craft beer.
Yeah,
exactly. I really enjoy it. It's really good. So we have to put a number on it because that's what we do.
All right. Well,
because this is the beer wrap up. I forgot to do it.
We got it there. You got it. Good.
Thanks.
All right. I said 7. So
you gave it a 7 already?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I said 7. You said, "Hey, we need to pause."
That's true. And now we're unpausing. We're
Yes.
back. Holly's done freaking out. Holly, producer. She's always a very valuable member of the show.
Yes.
So you gave it a 7. I think a 7 is a perfectly adequate score. I'm staying in the 7 realm today.
I think we both are.
Nice. Which is good. I'm okay with it.
I think 7's where we tend to hang around a lot of.
Yeah, which is good. I want to emphasize 7s are good. Sometimes people see a 7 and they think that's not good enough. It is good, though.
Yes. Well, a 10 is our 9.
Right? Totally. Yeah. Because it's the elusive unicorn.
Yeah.
So, to all the nerds.
Through all the fuzz.
Bottoms up.
Let's
get
nerd buzzed.
Talking about beer, talking about nerd culture.
Very crisp.
You're on Nerdbuzzed. Marcus and Jeremiah. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.